Hello, it's been a hot minute since I have done a live stream. So if you're tuning in, whether you're live or catching the replay, I'll give you a little lowdown. Basically, this is me just off the cuff ranting, usually pissed off. And you leave in the comments what resonates, what lands, what hits. And if you disagree, that's nice. Why are you wasting your time? You can go literally anywhere on the internet. You got two thumbs. If you don't got thumbs, you got something that could scroll you away. All right. But right now, we are going to have a conversation about the topic of love bombing. And this particular topic has pissed me off for probably a year. So let me take you back to last year when I finally opened my heart. I let someone in, and how wonderful. They're spectacular. They showed up. They sent me flowers. They were sweet. Okay. And the amount of people that said, Steph, be cautious. How do you know he's not love bombing you? Well, I don't. That's the way life is. We don't know the hidden agendas of everyday fucking people. And we can't know. The only thing we can do is receive life as it fucking is. Okay? So as it was, here's this man who would call me, FaceTime me, check in on me, send me flowers, listen to me rant, listen to me complain, talk to me every day, right? Doing all the things until that wasn't sustainable for him, where life was happening and life be life into all of us, right? And that wasn't something he could sustain while life be lifing. And there was certain incompatibilities in our relationship. And so it didn't work out. Does that mean I hate the man? Does that mean I'm pissed off because the circumstances changed and he wasn't showing up the way that he started? No, because that be fucking life, okay? Life fucking happens. But what pissed me off was the absolute bullshit of even presenting to me as if, what if this man is love bombing you? Who the fuck cares? Okay? Because I don't know if you know this, but I am a fucking woman. I'm not a little girl. I'm not a teenager. I'm not a young adult. I am a woman. That means I have a sovereign fucking spine to say, hey, you know what? A lot of this affection, it's too much for me. Can we slow it down? Can we maybe space out our connection? Can we maybe drop in a minute? Like, I have the power to use my fucking voice and speak up for my needs. Crazy fucking concept. To be a full grown ass woman. And I mean like fully fucking grown. To embody your entire womb, your fucking body, your solar plexus, to speak up from the very base of your motherfucking being. What a fucking concept. But what bothered me the most was the question of, how do you know you're not being love bombed? Came from someone who's known in the relationship space. Came from someone who mentors other people in relationships. And that's what fucking pissed me off. Because we can't possibly know if someone's love bombing us. We can only receive them as we are. And we can remain powerful regardless of circumstance. So how fucking dare you enter into people's space believing that there's a concept of love bombing? Yes, I do believe that there are people with malicious intent, but guess what? You could have felt good for as long as you could feel good, and then you could have walked away. But the way that they presented love bombing actually renders people super fucking powerless. Because every single person who's so worried about being love bombed, you know what happens? They go, oh my God, I'm being love bombed. I can't speak up. I can't advocate for myself. That's what happens. And then all of a sudden, the person who's love bombing is a narcissist. All of a sudden, the person who's love bombing is a problem. When all you have to say, quite literally, is you can't love bomb me because that's how you love me properly. The moment you stop loving me this way, I walk away because clearly you can't love me properly. Like, do you see what I'm saying here? Now get this. This is what drives me also up the fucking wall. The very first time it's presented to someone who's been love bombed, it usually sounds something like this. There's a tender desire from anyone to be loved loudly, to be loved boldly, recklessly, heart open, with zero care for repercussions and consequences, just to love for the sake of loving and to be loved because you get to be loved. Like totally unadulterated, completely authentic and raw love. And then you really feel into that desire and you might share it with a person. And then you share it with someone with that tenderness in your heart and you say, I just want to be loved loud. And that motherfucker turns around and says, that's because you weren't loved as a child. Bitch, what? Bitch, what? Are you joking? Okay? Because I got to be really honest. When did we start pointing out to people whether or not these are facts, right? Whether or not it's actually true that this person wasn't loved as a child, can't be changed. Like, that's just a fact of their history now. That is just an inevitable part of their story. But we somehow, I don't know how it happened, we accepted that as healthy communication. That's saying you only want validation from your partner because you didn't get validation as a child. So we can't change the lack of validation as a child. So yeah, they need validation now, bitch. What is the problem with them? We can't change what was. We can only be with what is. So you bringing up a past they can't change is a cunty ass fucking move. I don't care what anybody says. That is rude, it's inconsiderate, and it's fucking bullshit. Could you, like, it's kind of the equivalent of someone being like, you have acne on your face. Okay, yeah, and I'm working on it, and it's gonna be there tomorrow. Like, takes fucking time. Or someone being like, oh, your nose is shaped like that your whole life. Yeah, and unless I go in for plastic surgery, that's what my face is gonna look like. I can't change it, not by default of nature. And so when we say shit like, oh, you only want to be loved loudly because of this thing in your childhood, or you only want that because of this trauma, there's an absolute like disrespect, and disrespect doesn't even embody the gravity of how I feel about this. It's like a disregard. It actually disgraces the past. It has no reverence for how fucking infallible humans are and how fucking strong and resilient humans have, like naturally in ourselves. Like people who've been through fucking trauma and then they're still fucking kicking. There's people who've been through hell and back several times and they're still doing life. So you want to tell me that this person who wasn't loved properly as a child and now wants to be loved loudly and has that tender fucking spot in their heart is somehow not supposed to want being loved loudly? Despite the past that they cannot change, they simply survived. And then they're like, you know what? Yeah, sure, I didn't get this as a child, but it matters to me now. Right? Like there's a certain disgracing of humans that happens particularly in the personal growth development space, particularly in the heart healing space, particularly in fucking psychology. Like I've never met a group of people who disgrace humanity more than the people who claim to serve it. I can't. I can't stand it anymore. If you want to be loved loudly, you get to be loved loudly. Because guess what? There are so many people who are dying, who are bursting at the fucking seams to love you loudly. But you know what's happened? Is we've turned around and we said, no, that's love bombing. I can't be loved loudly because being loved loudly is love bombing. We've literally turned and demonized the actual desire we have because it doesn't look how other people prefer it. Listen, whether or not the guy from last year was love bombing me is so fucking irrelevant because I had the most beautiful heart-opening experience with him. And when it didn't sustain itself, we ended it. Like, I want you to understand that this isn't about getting attached. This is about recognizing where there's alignment and experiencing alignment, if even only for a fraction of a moment. If even only for a week or 2 weeks, like you have to be willing to risk the heartbreak of not keeping it forever. But if you always are rejecting love pathologizing somebody's behavior, diagnosing people despite the fact that you are not a fucking psychologist. Like, if you are continuously doing that, you will never, and I repeat, never have life-altering experiences. You can't, because you are unwilling to accept that life can be magically weird and fucking beautiful all at the same time. Like, dare I say, risk being love bombed. Dare I say it? Because as a sovereign fucking individual, you have the ability to say, and I repeat, you can't love bomb me because that's how you love me properly. And when you stop loving me, I walk away. It's that last fucking piece that people seem to forget that they always have the ability to do. Is it hard? Sure. Does it suck? Possibly. But if you never risk that heartbreak of walking away from something that's not aligned to you in the first place, you'll never feel what it's like to truly experience the thing you've been asking for, the thing you've been so scared to want for. Like, this is what I'm just so over it. There are women and men out there who want to love boldly, who want to love loudly, and they're scared and terrified of their behavior being pathologized and having to go into these deep crevices of healing. And they're like, can I just love? Like, can I just do that? And part of the reason why this pisses me off so much is I was having a conversation with a girlfriend a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I think my biggest heartbreak in life will be not finding a man who wants to receive all the love I have to give. Because I have so much fucking love in me. And my girlfriends know this. My family knows this. I'm a deeply loving person, but we live in a world where loving loudly, loving boldly is wrong. It's taboo. It's naughty. It's psychologically wounded. It's emotionally needing healing. It's you need to go on a fucking spiritual journey. No. Now, before we get into the conversation of everything needing to be deemed as toxic, let me remind you that what your red flags are not my red flags. Because red flags aren't fucking universal. Red flags are personal. So when you are in a position and you're like, no, that's red flag behavior, keep it to your motherfucking self. Keep it to yourself. Because just because you can't ride a black diamond ski hill doesn't mean someone else isn't fully conscious and capable of doing it. You see what I'm saying? Like, one of my red flags for me is someone who has substance abuse, where they can't go a night without a drink of alcohol, where they can't go a night without a hit of weed, where they can't go a night without a bump of cocaine. Like, I can't be that person. I can't remain conscious in a relationship with someone who does substances. Now, is that a red flag? No, because there's tons of people who are like, that doesn't bother me. I can love there. That's fine. So when a girlfriend starts dating a guy who does cocaine or is like loving his weed or has a drink every night, it's not up to me to be like, that's a red flag. Because I'm not her. And who knows, she might be fully fucking capable of being conscious in that relationship. It's not my place to superimpose my red flags onto other people. Why? Let's go back to it. Some people want to be loved fucking loudly, and some people want to love loud. And when we as a society turn around and we go, that's a red flag, that's love bombing, you're being love bombed. Tell me you're incapable without telling me you're fucking incapable. Tell me you are a weak bitch without telling me you're a weak bitch, because there is no reason for you to deem somebody as love bombing you if you are sovereign in your spine. If you are willing to say, you know what, let's slow it down. I am reaching my capacity. Or better yet, being totally receptive of that person loving you loudly and being totally down for it and letting yourself love it because you wanted it. Listen, I have been in moments where people have said, you're being love bombed. And I brushed it off and I was like, I don't care. And when I look back and people reflect with me and they go, see, you were being love bombed. I'm like, you know what? I don't regret it. I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful that those men came out boldly and loudly and declarative, decided about me. Like, I want you to understand how healing that was for me. That they were men who were decided about me. They weren't in this weird ass fucking limbo of like, no, do I want to date her? Do I not want to date her? But guys who were like, I want you. Like, I cannot explain how beautiful it was for me, how essential it was for me. But it took me having to say, fuck you to absolutely everyone who was like, that's the red flag. Bitch, take responsibility for your own red flags. Just because you're incapable of being with someone who loves loudly doesn't mean I am. And doesn't mean he's incapable of receiving love. Like, it's the pathologizing, the diagnosing, like all of this shit doesn't work. It's not helpful. It's not fucking helpful. So when I say love bombing and crazy people, the crazy people aren't the ones who love loudly. The crazy people aren't the ones who are willing to be in these crazy whirlwind loves and these crazy experiences. Those aren't the crazy ones. The crazy ones are the ones who think that people can't handle it. The crazy ones are thinking, I can't handle it. The crazy ones are the ones who are believing they can't have a spine to say, you know what? You can't love bomb me because that's loving me properly. Like, that's what I want you to get. And here's the thing, right? You're never going to know somebody's intentions. Somebody may be in the psychological way love bombing you to manipulate you later, but like, you can't manipulate me. You just can't. I'm done. I've been manipulated and I'm done. I don't do that no more. I don't allow myself to be manipulated anymore. I get the things that are good. And when they're not good anymore, I'm going to say, is this worth it? Because if you are love bombing me and you're training me to respect the standard you set for yourself, and you can't uphold that standard anymore because you're not love bombing me anymore, why would I stick around? You showed me who you were, and then you could uphold it. So your integrity is on the line. I am who I am. I'm crazy. I'm wild. I'm unhinged. I live a very like dual life, the city girl vibe, but like I live real redneck. Like, I am who I am and I'm not going to apologize for it. And I don't want to be with someone who apologizes for who they are either. I want them to be themselves from the jump. And so when you approach me, I'm going to believe that what I see is what I get. And if what I see is someone who loves loudly, I'm going to assume that's who you are. And the moment you're not him anymore, I'm going to question why you showed me a version of you that doesn't exist all the time. And that's okay. I'm going to question why you gave me a false version of you. And then I get to opt in. Do I want the version that's real and authentic when you are willing to reveal that? And that's, again, me practicing my sovereign spine. I get to choose at that point. And when we don't allow ourselves to discern for ourselves whether or not we want something, that's when we give up our sovereignty. That's what it means to have a sovereign spine. And I'm choosing in every single moment. I choose. And this was something that I remember when I was in university. With my college boyfriend, I was sitting at the pub with him and like a group of his friends. And we were talking about the concept of commitment. And I was like, I'm not committed. And his friends lost it. They're like, what do you mean? Why aren't you committed to my best friend? And I was like, because I choose him every day. I don't need something like commitment to make me obedient. I choose him. Out of all the men in the world, I wake up choosing him. Like, I want you to really feel that. That's how your life is. You have an infinite amount of choices every single day. And you get to choose for you. Because at the very end of this life, you only get one choice, and that's whether or not you're going to be buried in a box or burned within it. That's the only end. We end this life burned or buried. Yeah. So when it comes to choices, you've got to be willing to risk the heartbreak for that moment of being loved loudly. Quit letting people tell you that you're about to be manipulated, because that's them telling you that they think you're weak. That's them telling you that they don't think you're sovereign. That's them telling you that they don't believe that you're capable and competent and vocal and can back yourself. Like, that's all it is. And honestly, if that is the only thing I'm known for from now on, is teaching people how to fucking get love out of every fucking moment of life until there's no love left, then so fucking be it. But I've had more mentors, more teachers, more coaches try to make me sober in relationships, and all it did was make love really fucking boring. I was like, why is this? Like, why would I want a sober love? I want a passionate love. I want a love that's worth writing about. I want a love that's worth talking about. I want to be excited. And all a lot of this like heart healing work did was make it look uninteresting. I looked around at people's relationships, and I'll tell you, I judged the fuck out of them, because I'm like, I don't want what you guys have at all. Like, that is like pussy drive relationship. I don't care how much you market it as something different. That shit does not turn me on. It just wasn't the vibe for me. I want a life fucking story that's worth reading. And the only way that I'm going to do that is if I let life happen as it fucking is. So is love bombing bad or good? Or is this just what it is, and be honest about it? Sorry, I came in halfway. How do I summarize this? If loving loudly is who you are, love loudly. Love bombing is when you pretend to love loudly and you can't sustain. But for those of us who want to be loved loudly, we'll receive it until you can't sustain it. That's it. And like, the crazy thing is that if you were someone who like love bombs, the reality is that's just who you are. You give gifts because you thought of somebody, and you're like, hey, I thought of you when I bought this. Or you wake up and you go, oh, I was thinking about you today. Or you go, hey, I'd like to see you again. Right? Those are just genuine, authentic things. And if they're genuine and authentic, keep doing them. And the people who are going to be like, oh my God, you're love bombing me, run. Because they're not someone who wants to be loved loudly. And I think that's part of the problem, is we've got one group of people who really want to love loudly, and we've got another group of people who want to be loved loudly, but we've been training both parties that that means it's bad and that it's wrong and that you shouldn't do that. And the reality is, I don't think love bombing exists. I think people assume they know more narcissists than are real. And even if you are with a narcissist, I doubt it, but you get to leave when the love's not there anymore. Like, you actually have that power. And again, I have been told dozens of times that I'm being love bombed, and I regret none of them. The only thing I regret was not leaving when the love was gone. And in the moments where I looked objectively and I was like, wow, like, they actually can't sustain how to love me properly, I think the kind thing to do is for me to leave. Because the unkind thing to do is for me to stay and be the constant reminder that they aren't who they want to be. That makes sense? Like, it's just so wild to me that we are allowing narratives that have people feel worse about themselves. Like, it's actually crazy. When I talk about this, the number of guys who were like, thank you, I feel like I have been horrible because I can't I can't give gifts, and I can't give flowers, and I can't be kind. Like, I can't do the things I genuinely want to do because I'm going to be portrayed as this bad narcissistic dude. And it's like the sweetest fucking wallflower. Like, it's the kindest guy. And you're like, and I don't blame him. Right. And then you meet these women who are like, I just want to be loved loudly. And then you have some fucking dickhead who's like, that's because your daddy didn't love you. What? What? Are you joking? Or are you real? Like, even if that were true, she can't fucking change it. Let the woman be loved loudly. What the fuck are we doing here? Like, what are we doing anymore? This isn't personal growth anymore. It's like, it's taking our heart wounds, ripping them open, pouring fucking salt, and then feeling shitty about ourselves. What? This can't be real. As you can tell, I feel very passionate about this, but it is a topic that it's been following me for years at this point. And last year was like the crux of the moment where I was like, I was telling someone I was so excited. And for women like me, we don't get excited often. Like, I don't get attracted to people often. I don't feel enthusiastic often. So when it happens, it's like, oh my God. But we're like training women to be desensitized to passion. I've put on some tinfoil with me here. Think about it. Don't get your hopes up. Don't show you that you're too interested. Play cool. I hate to tell you, but I'm very chalant. I am not designed for the nonchalant life. Okay. So when I get passionate and get excited, one of the most self-betraying things I've ever done was not allow myself to be excited, to be enthusiastic, to be passionate, to feel the way that I genuinely felt about something. Because heaven forbid, I feel too much. Heaven forbid, I enjoy it too much. You know? Like, when I was explaining how good it felt to have someone send me flowers and how good it felt to have someone to turn to when my day was hard. And the response was, how do you know you're not being love bombed? I felt so disrespected in that moment. My heart felt disrespected. It felt discarded. Because who cares? I can't control people's agendas, but I can receive the love they have to give me for as long as they're going to give it to me. And I can receive it with an open heart. I can receive it with full excitement. I can receive it with full passion. But to not receive the love that they have to give me would be disregarding their heart. It would be discarding them. And I think that's what I'm pointing to. Like, we have gotten so wrong about relationships and love. And I say this being someone who's been single for 12 years, right? But I say this as someone who during that decade of singledom worked really hard on healing her heart, on like unpacking my relationship trauma and wounding, on healing my inner child, on working on my inherited generational trauma. Like, I did all the healing work and it made me more miserable. It made me less connectable. It made me less alive. Like, it actually stripped me of my aliveness. Why the fuck would I follow something that makes me less alive? Well, that's a story for a different fucking day because there's a bunch of reasons. But like, that's part of the issue, right? And if you go on TikTok right now, or you go on YouTube, or you go on Facebook, and you look at some of these like relationship formulas or strategies, like, they actually eradicate life. Like, they eradicate humanity. They eradicate variability and individuation. Like, it just strips life of what makes it worth living. They strip love. Like, how can you strip the one thing that every single person in his life wants to experience? And then you've got people, oh, if you're in limerence, you should really back away. No, you should have a sovereign spine. Oh, you're just being love bombed. You should know that's a red flag. No, you should practice discernment and have a sovereign spine. Oh, you're putting too much on the plate. No, you are showing who you are. And as long as it's something you can sustain, it's authentic. Like, I do feel like there's going to be people who disagree with me here. And all I'm going to say is, if you have a relationship I want, I'll eat my underwear. I'll eat my shorts, you know? Chances are you fucking don't. Chances are you have a relationship that makes me want to strangle myself. Chances are you have a relationship with a guy who sits in men's circles fucking every single day and is like not building sheds and not apocalyptic in any fucking way. Or you have a guy who like doesn't show emotion and is very fucking stoic. Like, unless you have a relationship I want, I'm going to have to say no. And that people can say the same thing to me, right? They can be like, well, Steph, you don't have a relationship I want. Right. But I've had such beautiful fucking experiences with people. I have had several, I post my love life all over on Threads, and I have went viral several times with people just basking in the beauty that I've gotten to experience just in the last year. And people are shocked and they're like, oh my God, there's no way this is real. Like the amount of people that started following me over on Threads because they're like, your life is a Hallmark movie, because I've had such stunning fucking experiences with real life men. Having conversations for 4 hours, being given gifts, receiving them fully. Like, why the fuck not? So anyways, I'm gonna leave you guys there. Thank you for participating in my rant today. If this is something that you're like, Steph, yes, I'm right there with you. These are the kinds of conversations I want to have. If you're like, I am so over the personal growth that makes my heart suffocate, and I just want to live life, and I want to live life as it is with the highs and the lows, and I want to be able to navigate all of that without feeling worse about myself in the process. That's what we're doing inside of Hard Knocks, which is like my new membership program. It's low ticket. It's like $47 a month right now. If you sign up, you lock in that price for as long as you're a member. But that's the purpose of it. Like, you're going to find people who love bomb you because they want to manipulate you. And then you're going to find people who love bomb you because they love loud. And having a sovereign spine means it doesn't matter what they're up to. Having a sovereign spine means you're going to receive the love that's there until it's not. And you're going to back yourself and walk away when it's not for you anymore. It takes time, it takes practice, and sometimes it takes guidance. But mostly it takes community of people who want life for the sake of living it. We're not trying to like achieve some sort of spiritual enlightenment because we know we're not going to get out of this life alive, and we're going to probably relive it anyways. Like, I've met people who genuinely, a part of their meditation and manifestations is that they don't get reincarnated on human life. Like, what? Dude, there's fucking flowers here. There's fucking mountains and snow. Like, there's some cool shit on Earth. What do you mean you don't want to come back here? Seriously? Oh my God. All the trauma, all the pain. Yeah, but like, we can still smell fresh rain despite the fact of having a shitty upbringing. Like, that's fucking insane, dude. That's crazy. That's crazy. We can go through so fucking much and still have the most profound fucking experiences. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't want to be human? I'm here for the human people who like want it all. And you want the highs, you want the lows. You just don't want to feel like shit navigating any of it. So that's real. You can drop the word knockout in the comments and I'll DM you. We'll have a conversation. I'll send you the link if it feels right. And we'll go from there. Okay? Mwah. Thank you for letting me bitch and moan.